Welcome, everyone, to episode 378 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, The Epic Marks.
I'm Jay. He is.
And I am the Brainless One. And Cousin Jay, we have quite a bit to get in.
No, I was throwing the ones up.
Oh, the
You're
ones.
the Brainless One. I can't do the high one because it'll be out of Brainless.
Lower yourself and go the one behind the one and Brainless One.
Wait, here we go.
But yes, Cousin Jay, we got a bit to get into with professional wrestling this week. I know last week we had discussed the re-debut, repackaging, renaming of a certain former current tag team in WWE.
Yes.
We have a potential debuting tag team in WWE, two guys who have been in tonight, two guys who have been in the wrestling industry, who have had at least a cup of coffee each in WWE, who are finally going to get their chance and opportunity to showcase themselves in WWE.
They're going to finally pass out QT Marshall's record for matches in WWE.
I mean, they only need not even a month and a half to accomplish that. I'm going to say a month and a half because I don't think they're going to get more than 5.
And I think they're going to pass out if you add him and Kazarni together.
They only need 2 months for that.
Yes.
Kazarni only wrestled 2 matches. I can't believe I know that Kazarni wrestled 2 matches in WWE.
We should come up with a best of compilation Kazarni matches.
What, his match where he beat MVP and then he was like the third guy eliminated in the ECW number 1 contenders battle?
And it was by Great Khali, I think.
Oh, God, that's even worse.
Yeah.
But we got...
World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Hall of Famer, Great Khali.
Please. Let's not jump in.
They set the bar at Coco Beware, so Great Khali actually is well over that. He literally just stepped his leg over the top rope and that was it. Exactly. The Khali kiss cam was underrated.
I think it was his feud with Dolph Ziggler, where Dolph Ziggler beat the fucking shit out of him with a chair. Was one of my favorite moments in wrestling history, just because it was the Great Khali. And I was like, if I'm supposed to have sympathy because the Great Khali is apparently a face in this situation, you're not getting it from the Brainless One, because I could give 2 shits about the Great Khali. Just as much as you could get, I gave 2 shits about the El Gigante Gonzalez. It just didn't work for me. Neither one of them. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. The Great Khali was fantastic in The Longest Yard. He was not fantastic in any way, shape, or form inside of a wrestling ring. But that is not what we're going to kick off. We're actually going to discuss something else that we even mentioned last week. And over the weekend, they had, I think, a Battle of the Belts or the Battle of the...
No, it was Wrestle Dream.
Oh, that's right. It was Wrestle Dream this past weekend. And in the main event, we saw John Plumber Moxley getting a title shot that he took from Darby Allin. I mean, I can't comprehend the cocaine-induced thought that Tony Khan had when he decided that this is the route he was going to go for the championship. Lining up 3 or 4 different contenders for Daniel Bryanson. After
this was vintage 2010's Vince McMahon booking. Like the way that we got here. It was a sordid road. Completely terrible.
God awful.
Yeah. But
what?
In the end, John Moxley didn't bleed. Nobody bled. There was a reason for that. The state and the arena that they were in would not allow it. The only way that blood could happen is if they Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 31, headbutt the turnbuckle or the steel post,
or like Goldberg.
Can't say that I bladed. I headbutt the post.
Yeah, man, I got my skewers out. What do you mean I gotta leave them in my locker room? I'm a bad motherfucker, John Moxley.
For a second, you sound like Uncle Ray.
All right. What do? I hit leave, right? That's the button I have to hit when I get insulted in such a way that I don't want to. You know what? I apologize. No, being referred to as Uncle Ray with his world famous chicken wings. You're right.
Yes.
I apologize. It could be worse.
Yes.
I could be compared to a certain NFL team that just lost and scored 7 points against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I will no longer put we're on to Cincinnati. That is never happening again.
Okay. But at Wrestle Dream, a thing that we talked about last week was one Daniel Bryanson retiring for the love of God. A man who said in interviews like, yep, I'm losing feeling in my extremities during matches.
Yep.
It's like, dude, stop. Clearly this was part of a plan, but I'd like to think he saw the podcast and was like, you know what? They're right. They're absolutely right.
I'm sticking to the fact that he was watching the podcast last Friday because it's not like he was on Rampage or anything. I think that show's not even going to exist anymore once they get the new deal with WBD. But I mean, we're not Nostradamus. How is it we talked about this literally last Friday, and here we are a week later, and it's like, all right, dude, freaking is retired.
It's good though. Like the man ended up being blessed with a second half of a career almost a la Shawn Michaels. You know, he had 3 years off or 2 years off. I think it was 2 or 3 years off because he was gone at WrestleMania 30, a little after WrestleMania 31 after he won the IC title.
Yep.
And he came back, was it 34 or 30? I think it was 34. But anyway,
yeah.
he has had another basically 7 or 8 years of a run after that. And, you know, not only did he put on and continue to have great matches in WWE after he came back, that match he had against Roman his last night was epic. Yep. And, you know, when he debuted in AEW, I know that you've taken down a couple of notches. You're scoring for Kenny Omega. But then he took on Kenny Omega and went to a 30-minute draw at Grand Slam. He is the only person to do number 1 and number 2 in PWI in successive matches, and both of them were classics. And he continued to have really good matches, but these injuries were piling up. I mean, he had what many consider, and I thought it was off the charts good. Him and MJF, the Iron Man match was awesome. That was not that long ago. And he continued to have really good matches, but man, oh man, like having problems with your neck, having problems with your brain, breaking your arm in a match, like at some point you got to be like, so I'm glad they finally made the call. He has had a great career. You're talking about a man who like fought the machine at WWE, completely swimming against the water of, you know, not being a big guy, not being the one Vince wanted to have the main event of WrestleMania 30. And he did it anyway, out of organic reaction from the crowd. It wasn't somebody that they forced down your throat. It was somebody the crowd loved, respected, and this came from a dude who started in the NXT, like when it was like a reality competition, and I remember when that all started, all Michael Cole kept on calling him was a nerd who was vegan. And just how he grew and how he changed and how he evolved and became all sorts of things. Honestly, like he was a great face, but the thing that stands out for me is his heel run as the vegan champion with the hemp belt.
Fickle!
Yes. No! No! Like,
that's
Team Hell No. I mean, there are so many epic moments. I'm so glad that, like, we got to see them, got to enjoy him as a pro wrestler, performing at the highest level on the biggest stage. And he deserves all the love and praise that we got. And I am glad that he has stopped wrestling because, you know, hopefully he'll be able to live a normal life from here on out.
in the words of Heath Slater, he's got kids.
He's got kids.
And I agree with you 100%. We were very much blessed to have a talent of Bryan Danielson's caliber to not only witness in WWE, but also in AEW. Because I was actually watching, Daniel Bryanson when he was, in AEW, because I was about the time I was still watching. I did happen to watch him and Kenny Omega. Yes. That's another reason why I kind of toned down my hatred and vitriol for Kenny Omega, because at the end of the day, yes, there's some matches that he's done in his career that I don't agree with, and I thought were absolutely stupid and subjected myself to wasting 11 minutes of my life. Regardless, Kenny Omega had some pretty solid matches over the years. Unlike the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega can actually adapt to somebody else in the ring. And I am actually glad for somebody like Daniel Bryanson to be the guy that can say, hey, I wrestled numero uno and numero dos in back-to-back matches in different promotions. So it's incredible. That run that he had on his way to WrestleMania 30 was epic. Just the rise of Daniel Bryan, like when they had all the people come out and they were chanting yes and everything like that. Incredible moment. Another thing was when he had Team Hell No, and him and Kane were just absolutely killing it. I loved that whole thing.
Dr. Shelby.
I'm the tag team champions.
No, I am the tag team champions. Yeah.
Dr. Shelby, them eating at the diner where Daniel Bryan's trying to eat a meatball, an actual meatball, is still one of the funniest things. Daniel Bryan, we have been, like I said, we were blessed to have witnessed the career of Daniel Bryan over the last 14 years. He did an excellent job in WWE. He did an excellent job in AEW. I will pause my hatred for AEW in this instance just because of the fact that I am talking about the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. He's had an illustrious career. He deserves all the accolades he gets. And pound for pound, he might be one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever seen perform inside of a wrestling ring.
Chris Brown in the chat is saying, with his neck issues, this may be the last match that he will ever wrestle, just because danger, family, but he specifically chose Plumber Mox to be the person to take the title off him. So this was a Daniel Bryanson call.
So my whole thing is, you had Christian Cage win that 21-man Battle Royal bullshit thing that basically is just their Battle Royal version of the Money in the Bank ladder match where you can guarantee a title shot anytime, any place, da-da-da-da-da. Great. He can pick wherever he wants to fight. This is after he lost the trios titles earlier in the show. So he lost something and then was automatically put in something for a championship and won it. Whatever. Don't care because Christian Cage is absolutely killing it. I have no problems with what they do with him. Then you had Bryan Danielson take the title from Swerve. Okay, fine. I can understand that. You have Darby Allin somehow, some way become the number one contender because he earned it in a match. But then Moxley comes in just right off the street and says, nah, I think you should wrestle me to get this title shot. So he takes this shot from Darby Allin and then ends up fighting Bryan Danielson to end his career and become a 4 or 5, or who really gives a shit how many times Plumber Moxley has been the AEW World Champion. I don't care. But it's just silly that this is the route we have. Because they had one guy lined up for a title shot, at any point. They had another guy actually win the title shot. This is some WWE bullshit we're talking about here. This is exactly what this is. I cannot fathom how we're sitting here and allowing Tony Khan to do this exact same shit that the people crucified Vince McMahon for years.
This is 2010's Vince McMahon, and you could probably even say mid-2000s to forced retirement Vince McMahon's booking.
Yes, let's have Roman Reigns be the Intercontinental Champion and drop the title and then automatically just gets into
and
the
lose the rematch.
And lose the rematch to The Miz. No disrespect to The Miz, but let's be serious.
For 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds. This is the type of shit that Vince McMahon did that we crucified him for. I understand that Daniel Bryanson was like, yeah, let the plumber take the title from me. I don't give a shit. Because it gives adversity to Darby Allin. And I'm trying to keep tabs on this stuff because I cannot subject myself to watch this crap every Wednesday for 2 hours. It's just awful. I can't figure it out because I always enter in at like the worst time. I'm convinced that I'm the reason why the ratings shifted shorts. But then again, it's not because, the Big Bang Theory is the highest rated segment and all that stuff. My thing is that it's hard for me to comprehend what's going on when I am tuning in to find out that Jon Moxley is trying to take over AEW. He's basically got his Blackpool Combat Club replacing Bryan Danielson with Pac, the Keebler Elf himself. And
hey, they could have another hero added to that list soon.
On top of the fact that we have the woman who is kind of like John Cena, except that we can see her, but we just don't know her. And she's part of this faction as well. And it's absolutely stupid, this faction. And they're getting counteracted by, okay, so they're doing this thing because they're going to try to build Darby Allin because they want to put the title on Darby Allin. It's clear as day this is what they're trying to do. Because Tony Khan one day 5 years ago said, oh, look, I'm going to pick 4 random people on my roster. Correction, I'm going to pick MJF and 3 random people on my roster and call them my pillars and put them on T-shirts and say, hey, this is the future of AEW. And here we are 5 years later. Sammy Guevara can't stay healthy or stay out of trouble for hurting somebody. Jack Perry should just be absolutely eliminated from any kind of freaking main event status because he got the biggest star in the company fired because he's a pretentious little shithead who thinks that he's better than everybody because his dad played a famous fictional character in the 90s.
But I was with your doppelganger on Tuesday, and they had bingo, but the bingo was that they would play something on the TV screen, but it was TV theme songs, and I got to see said person's father from that said show.
Luke Perry. Yes, I had an older sister, people. I've seen enough episodes of 90210.
Yes.
Brandon Walsh was my favorite character, if anybody was wondering, if I had a character that I liked on that show. But also, they have Darby Allin. I like Darby Allin. I do. He's a crazy dude. He doesn't look the part because he looks like somebody that even I could kick the shit out of. And then there's MJF. MJF is the total package. He can talk. He could wrestle. He's got a presence about him. So you had I'll say 1.5 pillars in your pillars. So now you realize that Sammy Guevara ain't shit. I think he's like 1/2 of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions with Dustin Rhodes, and they beat an established tag team for the first time ever as a tag team and a makeshift tag team. He can't stay healthy. He's always injured. You got Jungle Jack. Are you kidding me? Him and Darby Allin combined aren't even big enough to be freaking Powerhouse Hobbs' freaking thighs. And that guy's supposed to be intimidating. Jack Perry.
Yes. Yes.
So now they're trying to do something with Darby Allin because they're trying to save face with whatever's left of the pillars because MJF is either trying to be a Hollywood movie star. He was like, oh, he's done 3 movies. Yeah, that's great. He had as many lines in Iron Claw as I did. So you don't know what the hell's happening with MJF. So you got to do something with Darby Allin. So you're using Darby Allin as the guy that's going after the Blackpool Combat Club, where Jon Moxley's now the world heavyweight champion, and he's got his band of misfits with Jason Statham's stunt double, the keyboard elf, freaking Wheeler Yuta, who looks like a juggalo, and Marina Shafir. You don't know me. And you're counteracting with Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and the fucking Pilots.
Top flight.
Top flight are Pilots. Remember this, folks.
We did get cheerleaders in the WWE in the mid-2000s.
Jay, they brought the worst gimmick tag team in from WWE, and for whatever reason, like let's keep them as male models. Even though Mansoor or Mansoor, whatever the fuck he's called, looked deader than dead ever looked in the inside every time they did like the spring collection, while Max Dupree, aka L.A. Knight, yeah, and he would talk about titillating the senses, as Mansoor's senses looked like he was beyond being titillated.
He was titillated to death.
And the fact that they brought Rico in to be with the Maximum Male Models or whatever the fuck they're called now. I don't even know. I don't even care. They just keep giving me reasons to not tune into AEW every single week. And you know what? We should be proud of the Brainless One for making it at least 15 minutes without going on an absolute barrage of hate-filled speech about AEW. I mean, we've gone a whole 5 minutes with me just going at it because I can't fathom how Jon Moxley can just walk in right off the street. Yeah, buddy, I'm going to be the champion.
Is Jon Moxley the Charlotte Flair of AEW?
I was thinking about that because if he is, because I've seen he's 4-time champion or he's a 5-time champion or he's a 7-time champion. I know he won the WWE championship once. He's got the AEW title now like 5 times. Was he like a GCW or one of those stupid Nick Gage, stupid fuck promotions where we stab people?
I want to say he was like open weight champion at some point. He was U.S. champion for New Japan at one point. May have been the Continental champion, the Intercontinental champion, the All-Atlantic champion.
He's actually been the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. I forgot because he only had it for like a cup of coffee and a piece of pie. But this guy, at the pace he's going, is on the verge of tying Ric Flair before he's 50. And if people don't think that Jon Moxley's going to make it to 50 as a wrestler, you have another thing coming to you. If Mick Foley hung around way too long, Jon Moxley's definitely going to hang along way too long. I'm sorry. This dude's going to get there.
Chris Brown in the chat saying, the Charlotte Flair of AEW is Britt Baker. There is no male equivalent. LOL. I would disagree about the Britt Baker assessment just because she was off TV for 15 months to a year and a half, basically, not doing much of anything. And it sounds like she was quite a pill behind the scenes and was the reason for several people leaving, including Cody Rhodes, it sounds like. So I don't think Britt is quite Charlotte Flair, but as far as Moxley, the idea with him being Charlotte Flair is like every time he's there, more or less he's in a title match.
The last
Charlotte Flair is going to show up tomorrow, and she's going to be in a title match at Survivor Series. Maybe they'll even try to get her to be part of this Super Grand Slam Champion of the Sand in Saudi Arabia.
Just another championship she's never won, so why not?
Why not? And then she could add it to. She could be a belt collector, just like your favorite Kenny Omega, and she'll be like, "Yep, I am now the Saudi Arabian World Champion.
I'm coming for your record, Braun Strowman, as the longest reigning Saudi Arabian champion."
It's too bad we didn't still have Mansoor as Saudi Taker.
I know we missed out on that, but we got Maximum Male Models instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been great if they had him go 22-0 to pass The Undertaker. Hey, but he still has years left in wrestling. There's nothing saying that he will not go back to WWE.
I don't want him back in WWE. How about that?
And he could become a special attraction. All he does at the Saudi shows is do model pose downs, and he'll just win.
Oh,
undefeated, 22-0.
I thought you were talking about John Moxley. I did not know.
No, I'm talking about Mansoor.
I'm okay with Mansoor, Swoo, or whatever the frig his name is. I don't have a problem with him coming back to WWE. Moxley's somebody that there's like maybe a handful of people in AEW I never want to see either back in the WWE ring or ever in a WWE ring. And it's him, and it's Mercedes Moné, and it's both members of the Jacksons, and I really don't want to see Kenny Omega. But if I had to pick between him and the freaking dumbass butterfly pant-wearing asshole from the other part of Virginia, I'm going to say Hangman Page is in my top 5 of people I don't want to see in WWE.
Okay.
You can give me Orange Cassidy, and I love the fact that they're going to try to do something with Orange Cassidy after doing absolutely nothing with him for 5 years, except for the fact that he was the most dominant champion they've had in the entire promotion's history. And again, as much as I was upset about what the Bucks did, Moxley taking that title from Orange Cassidy was the final nail in the coffin for me as a fan of AEW. Just remember that, Tony Khan.
It should have been Luigi Primo.
It should have been Luigi Primo. Or even the Danhausen would have been a better person. And where the fuck is Danhausen? He's an AEW contracted wrestler, but he hasn't been in an AEW wrestling ring in a year. Because they did the
evil.
They did the vignettes for him last Halloween. Very nice, very nice, very, very evil. And they were talking about this whole Halloween shit. And then nothing. They did nothing with him. Tony Khan needs to stop pandering to those same fucking people over and over again. Get his head out of Jericho's ass. Get his head out of the freaking Young Bucks' balls. And get his head out of freaking Sasha Banks' twat. Nobody wants to see any of those fucking people. I'm sorry, Chris Jericho. This is no longer 2008. I don't need to see you and your stupid fucking learning tree idea that you come out with, where you now have a bounty hunter and Big Cass as your stable. A bounty hunter and Big Cass. And there's only one word to describe them. And I'm going to spell it out for you. SAWFT. Soft.
If they would have bounty hunter Steve Blackman.
That's different.
Steve Blackman, I think, is still a legit bounty hunter. When they first were coming out with the WWE Network, that was one of the pitches for a thing that they were going to have on the network. Like, I had received like a questionnaire survey thing. What shows would you be interested in? I checked 1,000%. Yes, I would like to see a Steve Blackman bounty hunter show. I want to see him kick somebody's ass.
I do too. And have a special appearance by Ken Shamrock in one episode. Have the two of them just beat the shit out of people. Oh yeah, please sign me up.
Yeah, So if we get bounty hunter Steve Blackman as part of the Blackpool Combat Club, I know Steve Blackman's probably a little past his expiration date as a pro wrestler, but it's all right.
I'll take Steve Blackman right now on, what is this, the 18th of the month? 18th of October of 2024. Yeah. I will take Steve Blackman today, October 18th, 2024, over Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Wheeler Yuta looks like the dude in those videos that where he jumps off of shit. He takes his, like he starts grunting, takes his shirt off and then just jumps onto like a stack of ladders or broken glass or whatever it is. And I'm like, God damn, Wheeler Yuta, you don't have to keep doing this. Moxley doesn't care. He already thinks you're cool enough to be in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Right. Ooh.
Puts the bag over. And they get all the complaints about putting the bag over Daniel Bryanson's head, and then they go and do it again.
Yeah.
Like, are they even, like, are they trying? They're trying to get canceled, right? They're trying to see how far they can push it with the WBD. They really think they're going to get away with this shit on Fox? John Moxley's going to be the AEW
Well,
World
have you seen the woman on Fox Sports in Mexico that's like presenting AEW? They'll be able to get away with a lot, I think, down there.
Jay, they were blocking out "Fuck You" Solo on Fox.
Well, I mean, that's understandable.
What's gonna happen when the plumber tries to porcupine himself again and look like a chia pet with the skewer sticking out of his head, with a pizza cutter cutting out his tongue, with all this other bullshit, blood flying everywhere? But it's okay. It's gonna be okay because it's AEW, right?
Hey, that would have ruined Christian's moment with Adam Edge last year.
Go fuck yourself.
Catchphrase of the year.
Greatest catchphrase. It might win it again this year just because. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just my biggest thing is that every time Tony Khan and AEW comes out and they try to say like, okay, we're trying not to be like WWE, or we're trying not to be like WCW, or we're trying not to be like old school TNA back in the Dixie Carter days and beforehand. But this is the shit you do. You do this you don't want to do storytelling, but then you come up with this bullshit and then expect us to understand why the fuck Jon Moxley's leapfrogging 2 people for a title shot. And all the while, Bryan Danielson's sitting at home with a concussion, and Nigel McGuinness is like, yeah, Daniel, I'll fight you. I'm not afraid to fight you. As soon as I saw that he was fighting freaking McGuinness at as quickly as I did, I was like, yeah, his career's almost done. There's not much time left. And then we got the freaking plumber as the world champion once again. How many champions? Does anybody know how many AEW world champions there's been since Roman Reigns took the title from the late great Fiend? Since Roman's reign has started. I know that Moxley's won it at least 3 times. I know CM Punk won it. I know Samoa Joe won it. I know MJF won it. I know Swerve Strickland won it. I know that Jon Moxley won it again. I know that Daniel Bryan won it. They have hot potato the AEW championship, it seems like, just like every other championship that they have in AEW. Like, what is going on over there? How are you going to bring in a new audience if this is the shit you're doing, when you're just doing shit that doesn't even make any sense? You have a tag team called Top Flight, and you turn them into fucking pilots. What in the early 90s Vince McMahon bullshit were you?
Hey, that's not just mid-90s Vince McMahon. That's mid-2000s Vince. He brought male cheerleaders.
Who would have thought it was going to be Nikki that was bigger deal than Kenny? I was shocked about that. But like, come on, Jay. Is this going to be? This is how they're going to bring in Shane McMahon, isn't it?
It is.
This is how they're going to do it. It's going to be
100% is.
And this is, and what's going to happen is, like, I run AEW. He's going to do that stupid thing where he shucks and jives in the ring, and then he throws the shittiest fucking punches. Hold on. I got the Shane McMahon punches.
That looks like the Dusty Rhodes bionic elbow.
Okay. The bionic elbow was cool. I love the bionic elbow. That thing was over as fuck. I don't care. Shane McMahon throws the shittiest punches in the history of mankind. Not even professional wrestling. Shane McMahon throws it. That's how he does it. That's how he throws punches. The only thing worse is watching Becky Lynch try the running arm attack. Or Shotzi Blackheart hitting somebody with a chair. In fact, I would say that Shane McMahon's punches are the worst thing in professional wrestling. Second worst thing. Sorry. Second worst thing in professional wrestling.
Thank you. I mean, I was just going to say 2 words and completely ruin your argument. You know those 2 words. I don't need to say them.
Just out of curiosity, are the 2 words 3 letters long each?
Yes.
Are the 2 words a walking refrigerator and pleather?
Yes.
Is those 3 words one of the actual people in professional wrestling that has one of the gold championship belts wrapped around their waist somehow, some way?
Yes.
Is this, and the last one, I have to ask this one because this is the most important one because I need to know. Is this person with the two names that are 3 letters long in both names, is there a very long-winded vitriol verbal assaultage by me on our YouTube page in regards to this person where I wish that both, not one, but both of their ACLs were to explode?
Yes.
Okay, then yes.
Last name rhymes with X-Lax.
She was the only member of the, was she the only member of the bloodline who Naomi actually crossed off the lineage of the, yes, okay. Yes, where Trinity Naomi shot up the power rankings of favorite wrestlers in WWE for the Brainless One. Yes, she did. I am an enjoyer of Naomi now because of the fact that she crossed Nia Jax off of the bloodline family tree.
Yeah.
And right, because nobody wants to be recognized with that.
Yeah.
But I do need to go back and see if Tonga Loa is on that list, because I think that he might actually give Nia Jax a run for the money as the worst person in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Kayfabe.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Logan Paul did say at some point very soon he's going to be going against a member of the bloodline, and I believe it will be against Tonga Loa. Because, you know, I mean, he already went against the tribal chief. He lost. So, hey, maybe you just got to start over again. And Tonga Loa versus Logan Paul, that is a something match.
When did Logan Paul say that he was fighting a member of the bloodline?
He said it this week in an interview.
Did he say when this was going to possibly part?
He just said very soon. I mean, I'm wondering if it's going to be at Sand Slam.
Oh, please, God, give me a second match to watch in Saudi in the Sand, or whatever the hell they're calling the stupid Saudi show. Because yes, I am going to tune in for Gunther and Cody Rhodes. The wrestling fan in me is just I've been waiting for this match. I wanted it at WrestleMania. It's fun. It's fun. It is fun. We're going to get Gunther and Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia. I will make an exception for that. I will not watch the rest of the show unless, obviously, if Bianca Belair is wrestling, that all bets are off on that. However, if they give me Logan Paul versus Jacob Fatu, you can bet your sweet ass I'm going to watch that match too, because I want to see Jacob Fatu rip Logan Paul literally to shreds. Like, rip his arms out and beat him with them. Because if there's anybody in WWE that can do it outside of Brock Lesnar, it's Jacob Fatu. The real tribal chief, the man who's going to have all the championships.
And then I want to see Jacob Fatu in the corner of Mike Tyson as Logan Paul is in the corner of his brother when Mike Tyson knocks Jake the hell out. November 15th, about 4 weeks away, in the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Very glad to see that Dak Prescott is he really is playing up to his normal playoff caliber right now. Really doing great stuff. Jerry Jones made a great organizational move by signing Dak to that contract. It's making Daniel Jones look so much better. It's making the Freak look so much better. Great times.
No, the Freak's got the worst contract. The best part about Dak Prescott and the best part about Daniel Jones is he's not even the worst contract. He's not even in the top 3 worst contracts. Because it is Dak. It is freaking Deshaun Watson. And I'm telling you right now, Trevor Lawrence now has a worse contract than Daniel Jones. I'm not going to say it's better than Tua Tagovailoa, who should be in the bloodline in about 6 months himself because he'll be out of football, who has a $270 million contract with no brain left. He's me, basically, a quarterback. But, yeah, Daniel Jones does not have the worst. And I just think it's funny that Trevor Lawrence, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the worst contract than Daniel Jones. Because who gave it to him? Same guy that paid $15 million for a Mercedes-Benz that drives away the ratings. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Jake, I got Jake Paul on my mind now too. With Logan Paul potentially getting in the ring with a member of the Bloodline, give me Jacob Fatu. Oh,
Chris Brown saying he'd rather see Solo in Logan. And he wants to see a Samoan spike to Logan Paul. I would say I would like to see that only if he delivers as many Samoan spikes as he did to John Cena.
I need 3 times that amount. Whatever he hit Cena with, I think it was like 10 or 12 or whatever the hell it was. I need 3 times that amount. Same thing as if he got in the ring with the Young Bucks. I'd want at least 72 times that amount that he hit Cena with. I just want to hit him. I want him to hit the freaking Bucks with as many Samoan spikes until we see blood coming out of their throats.
That's very dark.
Yeah, well, it's the Young Bucks. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Speaking of, since I did mention the Bucks, there is a new tag team that will be debuting tonight on SmackDown for WWE. And the reason that I did the segue with the Young Bucks is because this tag team basically helped put the Young Bucks on the map, because if it wasn't for their matches against each other in TNA Impact, the Young Bucks would still be playing tiddlywinks with their mommy and daddy in California while eating In-N-Out Burger. But that tag team is a tag team who I have a deep affinity towards, that you have a deep affinity towards, because they are a very, very good tag team. Both very good in-ring performers. I am so happy that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, are going to be on SmackDown tonight.
I hope they get Arn Anderson to be their manager, but Glock Anderson. They're the Motor City Machine Guns, and you get Glock Anderson to... Yep.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm super pumped for Motor City Machine Guns. Like WWE Tag Division, they slowly but surely have built up to be something where it's not a joke anymore. You got the returning War Raiders.
Take it.
There are a lot of good teams, a lot of good things, good matchups that don't necessarily need to be championship matches, that they can put out there on television to help bring this team up. The thing I always liked about Motor City Machine Guns is they did tag team wrestling, but they had a different flair to them than just, cookie cutter tag team. They did things a bit differently, and they have they worked so well together. Their tandem offense, it to me was my favorite thing that they did. They might be the best tandem offense in tag team wrestling in the last 15 years.
I'm not going to argue that. And just think of the possibilities too. If WWE doesn't get rid of the New Day and keep teasing this breakup between Woods and Kofi, they have them as a tag team. They this week on Raw, they kind of teased Jimmy and Jay Uso, reuniting. I mean, it's inevitable. It really is. I don't care if Jay said he doesn't want to talk to Jimmy. They're brothers, dude.
Bro.
We need the Usos back. We need the best tag team in WWE back together.
Ones.
Oh, the ones. The one. Day one is H.
Yeah.
And honestly, they have the Street Profits, and they have DIY, and like you said, the returning War Raiders. You have enough tag teams that you can add Motor City Machine Gun. I just think it's funny that the only reason Motor City Machine Gun is debuting on SmackDown tonight is because Tony Khan got his panties in a bunch over Ray Phoenix and added 10 months to his contract, so he's there for at least another year. Because he couldn't let him go. Well, I can't just do it for one, because then it's going to open up the floodgates and everybody else is going to want to leave. Yeah, no shit, because nobody wants to fucking be there. But now the Motor City Machine Gun, who were apparently on their way to NXT, are now on the main roster. And they owe it all to the Cokehead. So the Cokehead let the best free agent tag team that's hit the market in God only knows how long go to the competitor and they get to the main roster instead of NXT because of your pettiness, Tony. And as soon as Phoenix is done, you know him and Pentagon are going to be in WWE as well, and you're just going to be in the mud. It's great. I am so happy that the Motor City Machine Gun is in WWE because they finally get the exposure that they deserve. Because at the end of the day, respect or no respect for AEW, it doesn't matter. WWE is the do-all, be-all, say-all of professional wrestling. They are the Patriots dynasty. They are, I hate to say this, they're the New York Yankees. They're the 90s Bulls. That's where you want to be at the end of the day. You want to go to WWE because nobody in wrestling gets the exposure that WWE gets. So this is a well-decorated tag team who has been extremely successful for a very long time, getting this opportunity on the grandest stage of them all. And we're going to see the Motor City Machine Gun possibly wrestling at WrestleMania at some point.
Yeah, and that'll be awesome. In the chat, Chris Brown is saying he's heard rumor that this kind of dissension in the New Day might be part of a way if, very big if, Big E is cleared, Big E is the one who comes back and brings them back together. Because one of the things for all the years, they said, we're not going to break up. We're not going to break up like traditional tag teams, but that's when there were three of them. When Big E was eating popcorn and throwing flapjacks at Corey Graves. But, you know, there's two of them now. But it'd be great to have Big E come back and finish his career on his own terms, not because of somebody being bad at their job.
Right. And I would think that's great if they were to do that, but I really don't see Big E's career resuming unless they were to bring him back like as a manager role. But
well, I mean, if his neck does heal, I mean, he said, "Hey, you know, it's just not healing how it needs to heal for me to continue wrestling, and I won't continue. I won't take that risk." But you know, they said Edge was done, and medicine got better, and they were able to fix some of the things that they could not fix,
right,
which led to Edge eventually being able to come back. So I don't think it's beyond the scope of Big E coming back just because he's not old. So if something changes in medicine or his neck just heals on its own, I don't think it's beyond the scope. I think it's improbable, but
I do too. But I'm one of those ones that I'll play the optimistic on this situation. I'd love to see Big E get back in the ring at least one more time.
yeah,
Just because it was just so entertaining, and he's such a good dude. How could you not like Big E Langston, man? Really,
yeah.
He's like a big teddy bear, and he's been absolutely killing it when he's on the pre-show. I know I've said this before. I will continue to say I've absolutely enjoyed Big E on the pre-shows.
Yeah. So, yeah, looking forward to Motor City Machine Guns happening very shortly.
Yes.
On the Smacketh Down.
On the Smacketh Down. Speaking of Impact and TNA, because that's where Motor City Machine Gun came from, one of their stars, in fact, it's their biggest women's star, TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace, announced this week that her contract, which was set to expire in the summer of 2025, will now be expiring in January of 2025. She had her contract amended so she can opt out of it earlier. What are your thoughts on Jordynne Grace's contract getting the amendment so that she can get out of her contract a few months earlier than originally planned? And do we see her in WWE?
Yes. I like, why would a company do that? Like, why would they allow her to amend her contract to take time off? It's because whatever deal they have with WWE, I think TNA is kind of sort of a feeder system, a la what ECW was in the late 90s to WWE. Vince was helping out fund ECW, and ECW became kind of like the minor leagues for WWE, and like, oh, this person's ready, we're sending him up. I think that's exactly what this is right here. And if that's the deal that WWE got, I think we may see something similar with Joe Hendry.
Please. If they're both,
I think that's exactly what's going on here. And that doesn't mean that Jordan's not going to show up in TNA, because if they have a deal, Jordan could show up in TNA even if she's a WWE contracted employee. Well, I'm sorry, not an employee, a WWE contracted independent. Yeah. So, but yes, I believe this is everything to do with WWE.
Two things. Number one, whether she goes to the main roster or NXT, it doesn't really matter. If she starts off in NXT for like 6 months and then gets brought up to the main roster, fine. Give me that. With her, Julia, Stephanie Vacour, Roxanne Perez, a returning Cora Jade, Sol Roca, and a lot of other women that they have down there, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker. They have that. You add Jordan Grace to that women's roster, and it's disgustingly good. You put her on the main roster, and the main roster's women's division is 100 times better. She proved being in the Royal Rumble. She was one of the most impressive people in the women's Royal Rumble. I remember commending her for her performance in the Rumble earlier this year. Jordan Grace is somebody who's going to make a huge impact and is going to have a lot of success. And I'm glad that she went from the thinking like, yeah, years ago, I didn't think there was much of a chance, when I was a free agent the first time about going to WWE. She's like, and the fact that they came to me and they hand chose me as the person from Impact to represent and be in their promotion, wrestle in the Royal Rumble, wrestle their NXT Women's Champion. I get those opportunities because they see something in me. Now she's going to have that. If that's the case, and that's going to, that's going to be great for her and her career. Yeah. My other point is, for the love of God, please, I need this to happen with Joe Hendry because I want him to win the Royal Rumble. Because when we do the predictions in January for the Royal Rumble, I know that I need a second pick and a long shot and a dark horse and all this. Nope, they're all going to be Joe Hendry. Say his name and he'll appear. And Joe Hendry will be winning the Royal Rumble because I believe in Joe Hendry.
You believe in him.
Wave your hands from side to side. I believe in Joe Hendry. Hendry. Joe Hendry. Yes, I believe in Joe Hendry, people. Just strap it to my veins. Just give me what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking about women's. PWI this week came out with their top 250 women's wrestlers of 2024.
I did not even see that.
Or maybe it was.
What they got?
I can't do the whole 250 because I didn't want to see Nia Jax higher than anywhere on that list except for worst, because that's where I would have put her as worst. But I do have the top 10 women, and this isn't my top 10, people. I do have the top 10 women in the world. I don't think I could have come up with top 10 women that were outside of WWE, or because of, I need women outside of WWE, but their top 10. Number 1 was Timeless Toni Storm.
Okay.
I have absolutely zero issue with her being number 1 because I know we even talked about it last week. Like, her character development as Timeless Toni Storm has been absolutely exceptional since she moved over to AEW. Well deserved.
Go ahead.
No, she had a hell of a run as champion. Her character work, her character development, just the arc of her character from where it started to. Hell, I remember I was making fun of Luther because Luther was her butler. Mm-hmm. But now it works. It's all part of the presentation. So I have no problem with her being number 1. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say, I would say Rhea should be 1, except for she was out for a few months. And I think that's probably why she was not number 1.
Don't worry, Cousin Jay. I will guarantee you this. I'm not going to go far down the list again. No, she wasn't 2. Number 2 was the aforementioned Jordan Grace.
Okay.
Another one
She had a good year.
Another one I had no problem with. Number 3 was Rhea Ripley. Zero issue with that top 3. I had a bigger issue with the top 3 for the men's than I did for the women's.
Ooh.
Number 4 is somebody named Maika, Maika. She doesn't wrestle in AEW, so I couldn't tell you what she is because that means she's got to work in Japan.
Right.
Number 5 is Stephanie Vakor.
Okay.
Number 6 was Sari, who is SAR, and then a whole bunch of E's at the end of it. It's like she fell off a cliff when they were, the doctor was naming her. Sari. She was number 6. Number 7 was Bailey. The non-hugging Bailey, I should say. I had to make sure. And I love the fact that this week I saw on Instagram the clip of her absolutely destroying her Bailey buddies. One of my top 10 favorite moments in wrestling history. Number 8, my first head scratcher was Willow Nightingale. Number 9 is now AEW Women's Champion Mariah May, or whatever it is. And number 10 was Athena.
Oh, okay. I take that. I mean, she's been Ring of Honor champion for quite a while.
Who is she wrestling in Ring of Honor? Do they even have anybody in Ring of Honor? Or is she just wrestling local competitors every week or is she like when Dean Ambrose was United States champion and he held the title for like 704 days and defended the title like 3 times?
I think she's had more matches than Dean Ambrose did.
I'm just curious. How in the world is Roxanne Perez not in the top 10 women's list? I have no problem.
I don't know.
1 through 3, I have 0 problem with. Willow Nightingale's not better than Roxanne Perez. I'm sorry. Willow Nightingale's not better than 50 of the women in the entire women's wrestling. Let's be serious. I would say Charlotte Flair's better than her, but Charlotte Flair hasn't even wrestled at all this year, and I'd still say she was better than Willow Nightingale. She's not very good, people. I'm sorry. But the bigger omission from all of this is Tony Khan's $15 million Mercedes is not in the top 10. What is a bigger omission, Cousin Jay? Is it Roxanne Perez, who is the reigning NXT Women's Champion, who has had a very long and successful run as Women's Champion of NXT? Or is it the $15 million Mercedes, who is the secondary Women's Champion in AEW?
As the Bristol poet Tim says, fuck Sasha Banks.
That's F and Mark's Hall of Famer, Timmy.
And Chris Brown is saying, why isn't Liv Morgan in the top 10?
That's a very good point.
That might be also partially, wasn't she out for a few months?
She was out for a few months as well, yes. She got hurt, and then Rhea Ripley got hurt immediately right after she returned.
She got hurt, she got weed, she got hurt, and then she got the chance.
Hey, there is nothing wrong with marriage.
No, she had an awful lot of it.
I don't care, Cousin Jay. I will tell you
that they read her diary or her journal.
They did read her diary or journal, whatever it was. But just remember, marijuana is in the ground. God put marijuana in
the ground
for people like the Brainless One and Liv Morgan. Just remember that. As somebody who is a very strong proponent for cannabis consumption, there is nothing wrong with marijuana, people.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. But yes, I think Liv Morgan is another one that's a big, strong omission from being on this list. I laughed my ass off when I read the list, and the first thing I thought of was, "Ha ha, Mercedes isn't on here. Ha! The big acquisition, the biggest star in the all women's wrestling." That's what she said. That's what that ego-driven diva bitch said. I am the biggest woman in women's wrestling. Really? I'm looking at the fucking list right here. This is from PWI, which is the do-all, be-all, say-all of professional wrestling. It's not Dave fucking Meltzer. It's not the freaking clown show that they call Fightful. It's not bro, and bro.
Wait. So you're saying when Dave Meltzer last week said that The Rock wasn't going to be at WrestleMania 41, and I specifically on this podcast said, I don't believe it. The Rock wouldn't do something this stupid where he comes out, presents himself in front of the audience, and then is going to do a disappearing act for months and months on end. Oh, by the way, The Rock came out and said,
Dave Meltzer's full of shit.
Claims of the reports of my WrestleMania 41 status are BS.
So basically, Dave Meltzer is full of shit.
Yeah.
That man, like I said, Jay, I'm sorry. He's more concerned about winning over the hearts of the Young Bucks, Will Ospreay now. I'm definitely adding Ospreay to this thing. When I saw him show, hey, Dave Meltzer's here. Ah! Yeah, great. Good for you, Will Ospreay. Yes, I would also celebrate a man who has given me more 5-star matches than anybody else in the history of mankind. How you have more 5-star matches than every other wrestling promotion in the history of wrestling combined is just blasphemous. Meltzer doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I'm convinced he's had like a second midlife crisis because there's no way that you can tell me that the bullshit that AEW does each and every week is 100 times better than what WWE is doing.
Even Kenny Omega says, I'm not better than Kurt Angle. I guess he likes what I do in the ring. I'm not better than Kurt Angle.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Right. But even Kenny Omega, who has these ridiculous star ratings from Uncle Dave there, is like, yeah, this is BS. So when the person who is getting lauded all this, these accolades from this wrestling journalist, Bobby the Brain Heenan was a better professional broadcaster and journalist than you. I'll just say that.
So is Tony Schiavone, unlike what Tony Khan said about him.
Yeah.
When he was saying that Ariel Helwani is as much of a established journalist as Tony Schiavone, like, really?
But, no, when I heard that report from Meltzer, I was like, this is not, no. Quite honestly, you know what I think about that report? I bet Triple H is trying to smoke out the leakers.
Mm-hmm.
He probably told somebody something and wanted to see if it would end up out there.
To be fair, I would not invite that crotch goblin Sean Sucks Sap to anything, any of his Fightful people, unless it's Denise Salcata. She's the only one in that entire thing that I actually give two craps about because she's not as evil and diabolical and is a piece of shit like freaking Sean Sap Sucks Sap shit fucker, whatever his name is.
Chris Brown asking in wrestling, worst position right now, Dave Meltzer being called out for being lying sack of shit, or Johnny Ace, who is getting divorced from the Bella's mother.
Which one is
what? I
what?
gotta go with Johnny Ace. To me, it's not even close because of what Johnny Ace has done.
All Dave Meltzer is doing is all Dave Meltzer is doing is just sounding stupid. Johnny Ace was basically aiding and abetting a predator to do the things he did and then just kind of going along with it. People power. I'm sorry. At the grand scheme of things, yes. I want to strangle Dave Meltzer until his eyes pop out of his fucking skull. Yes, I really do. But Johnny Ace is just an absolute piece of shit. I want to freaking cover his, I just want to cover him in freaking sugar and have fire ants go after his ass. That's how I feel about Johnny Ace.
Yeah.
And if his wife is divorcing him, this alleged situation is not alleged. She's not going to divorce him over something allegedly that happened. I don't care what kind of publicity that they're getting like that. She's not going to divorce him unless if there's smoke, there better be fire. So if she's getting divorced, there's fire to the smoke. He enabled Vince McMahon to do the stupid shit he did, and he did nothing but just, and like I said, enable it. So it's definitely Johnny Ace.
And kind of related to that, Brock Lesnar was hinted at this past week on Monday Night Raw.
Nice.
Again, there are reports out there saying, oh, yep, no creative plans. Brock is not coming back. I call complete BS on that. WWE does not make these references lightly, and they don't do it without cause. I think we see Brock
tonight.
Soon. I don't know if it's tonight, but we see him. It might be the Royal Rumble, but I'd say within a few months we will see him back.
They're going to throw a shit ton of money at him, and he's going to show up in Saudi Arabia. That's what we need. We need Brock Lesnar versus Logan Paul in freaking Saudi Arabia. Sign me up. Another match that I would definitely want to see in Saudi Arabia, just because I want to see Logan Paul get his ass kicked.
Right.
By legitimate badasses. I agree. I think we see Brock Lesnar sooner rather than later. They made two different references by two different wrestlers towards Brock Lesnar. Sorry. It's not a coincidence.
Interesting way they're going about the storyline here with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, and how it, like, allegedly they're not letting Kevin Owens tell his side of the story. Quite honestly, when I saw this, I saw the bits about the storyline, the bits about they're not letting him speak. I was like, I don't want you to speak. Don't want to hear from you. I want you to eat cupcakes. I want you to eat cupcakes. I don't need to hear you say why you attacked Cody Rhodes. We know. R-Truth knows. He saw it. He tweeted it. He liked it. Cupcakes. All about cupcakes.
All I'm going to say is I need to know that Kevin Owens absolutely follows R-Truth on Twitter. I need to know this. Because if he does, when R-Truth does, because as somebody who follows R-Truth, I know for a fact that R-Truth will absolutely retweet his people when he thinks they're funny. For whatever reason, R-Truth thinks I'm somewhat, somehow, some way funny because he has now retweeted me. I'm in the Booker T class of likes and retweets from, I am a 5-time, this is the 5th time that I've had interaction with R-Truth. He's probably going in our Hall of Fame again this year. I don't care. I'm going to put him in every year because it's R-Truth. And he's an absolute 1,000,000% a treasure in this world. That is just, I love that man to death. I really do. There's nobody more entertaining. That man is an entertaining person. I just need to know that Kevin Owens follows R-Truth on Twitter. I need to know this because I need to know that he went through it and saw all the retweets. And then he came across one that was retweeted by, and it was somebody that I can't see what the picture is. And it just piques his interest for just a half a second. Like, I wonder what this is. Why would this guy have me blocked? And it shows the picture, and it's a picture of him. That's what I need in my life. To see that I retweeted at R-Truth a picture of Kevin Owens looking at the cupcakes. And believe me when I tell you, I looked for 20 minutes to find the exact same picture he had, the look on his face when I made the joke 8 years ago, and I couldn't find it.
I know how to get it. I know how to get it.
I Google searched it and I looked. Kevin Owens crying.
You didn't need to Google search it. You go to our Facebook page. That picture is there.
That's the picture. That's it, right?
Yeah, there's one, and I think I even put a little cloud that says the face Kevin Owens makes when you steal his cupcakes.
Son of a bitch. I almost earned my brainless this week. Thank God that there's other people who have absolutely made it possible. Although there's at least another hour on the podcast, so it's very possible I could still get my brainless for tonight, people. I've done it before, and there's plenty of time for me to freight train myself to get my brainless this week.
Yeah. So another bummer that we heard about, AJ Styles. AJ Styles, like it was supposed to be a worked angle where he fakes an injury, but it turned into a shoot, and the man's leg is all messed up.
I honestly have no idea who Elizabeth Frank is, but I have a problem with her. Her and Thomas John, those are the two I have a problem with. Because Thomas John surgeries usually means that somebody on the Red Sox is done for a long time. And Elizabeth Frank is now the second. AJ Styles is now the second person I've heard have a problem with Elizabeth Frank, and I'm going to have to beat her ass because she did the same thing to the Giants left tackle, and now our season's definitely over because when our offensive line is playing out of their minds, it's a big loss. Yeah. And losing AJ Styles, this is a year-long injury, pretty close.
Yeah, if he needs surgery, he'll be out for a year. And like when AJ Styles, when he commented about this, he says, "I'm cooked," and commented on somebody saying, "Hey, this is the type of injury that keeps running backs out for the year." So when he says, "I'm cooked," unless he's like pulling the wool over people's eyes so he can make a Royal Rumble return or something along those lines, like I don't think he's doing that. So we may not see the phenomenal AJ Styles for a year. And the thing is we have not seen an awful lot of him for the last 8 months.
Yep.
So that'll be like over a year and a half where we just haven't gotten much of the phenomenal one. He had those couple of matches with Cody and then went and had the match in Japan. And then they said he was going to return, but he didn't. And then when he finally does return, it ain't ballet, but damn. And he ain't a spring chicken, so.
The thing with him is it all depends on the severity of the injury. And yes, because the Giants star left tackle, who is one of my favorite players on the team, suffered the same injury, you best believe that I know every type of strain that they could have in the Liz Frank in the area of the foot to see how long he's going to be out for, because the Giants tackle was also trying to get like a second opinion saying, no, it's not that bad, I'll play through it, till to find out it was a third degree or third, level, whatever it is, like enough that he needed surgery and we will not be seeing until the start of next season for the NFL. So
that makes Danny Dimes even better.
Well, the fact that they have Evan Neal as their backup left tackle is just going to be what causes me to have nightmares because they're playing Philadelphia on Sunday. And I already know that Saquon's going off for 300 yards and 7 touchdowns because it's in the Meadowlands, and he's going to rip my heart out.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Please don't. I almost burnt down the Red Dog Saloon because those fucking retards had to remind everybody that they know how to spell their team's name. Congratulations. I'm glad that you guys understand second grade English that you can spell E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagle, Eagle, Eagle. Yeah, nobody cares. You're not as impressive as the Jets fans because they're dumb enough to pick.
That's 4 letters.
But they don't have any intelligence anyway. We already know they don't have an intelligence. Because why would a team go from – why would you be a person who would be a fan of the Jets when there is a team that has won a Super Bowl in 4 consecutive decades, had the single greatest defensive player, albeit a very fallacious individual who likes cocaine and 16-year-old girls? We've had a who's of who's, as opposed to the fucking Jets, who have had stupid Joe Namath, who is the most overrated player in the fucking NFL's history, on top of the fact in the Hall of Fame as well. And he only got in because he made, I guarantee we're going to beat the Colts. Dude, you didn't even throw a touchdown, you stupid fuck. Defense should have gotten MVP, you cocksucking. God damn it, hate the Jets. Why would you subject yourself to being a Jets fan when there's other franchises in the NFL like the Giants who play in the exact same stadium, or the Bills who play in the same general area, or the Patriots who are in the same division and are actually like at one point were a juggernaut that have actually won six
I mean, at this point, the Jets are better than us. Patriots are really fighting against Jaguars and Panthers for that number 1 pick.
It's going to go to the Jaguars, and I'm going to laugh my ass off. And I'm just going to absolutely – Tony Khan's going to block me if that's the case. If I were the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'd start playing a lot better, because if you end up with the first pick again, the Brainless One is going to make sure that your brainless, stupid fuck Tony Khan realizes that the Brainless One exists, because I'm just going to make his life a living hell. More than I already do.
Yeah, so real bummer for AJ. Like, he was hoping to, this to be kind of like the final, full-time run before he hung up the wrestling boots. So, too bad.
Yeah,
too bad.
I really liked AJ Styles, and I've been a fan of his for a very long time. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing the end of his career unravel the way it is, because he just came back from a broken ankle not too long ago as well. That's why he missed WrestleMania. I think it was either 39 or 40 was because of the broken ankle. He hasn't really done much since him and Omos won the tag team titles from the New Day.
Yeah, I mean, he had the 2 heavyweight championship matches against Cody, but
I mean, they were just like, we need somebody to fight Cody Rhodes, and AJ Styles is going to
make him look good.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because if there was anybody in WWE I'd love to get in the ring with, it's AJ Styles. Let's be serious.
Right.
That GOAT looks like is AJ Styles.
This is a little piece of news that I just have to bring up, because it's Rikishi.
Oh, now what?
Absolutely tore into Vince Russo. Vince Russo basically made fun of Jay for Jay having a moment after he won the Intercontinental Championship. And hey, that's Jay Uso's first singles championship. He has been in a tag team his whole career, and he's been in some heavyweight championship title matches, but he's never won a title. So he had a moment, and Russo had some disparaging remarks. And Rikishi, keep my family's name out of your mouth, but we could set this straight anytime you feel like. Come get me. I'm not going to be hard to find. More or less, shut the hell up. I will come and kick your ass.
I am so glad that you mentioned that, because I would say not even 10 minutes before I got on the podcast, I was on Twitter and had seen a clip from, I think it was Piers Morgan's show, where they had Jonathan Coachman and Charlie, the former Charlie Caruso, who's now Charlie Arndt or whatever it is, and she does, I think she does her own thing. I've seen her on Fox News a couple of times, because it's always funny to me when they have her and Tyrus on one of the shows together. I'm like, oh, look, 50% of the panel is former WWE. Yay!
Yep.
And then they bring in Donald Trump, and it's the same thing. But they had, now the name stood out for me, and I'm not positive why this name still stands out for me, because it's either one of two things. Either this person is a writer in wrestling, or he was one of the 87,000 legendary names that they mentioned during Clash of the Champions 13.
Right.
It was Phil Mushnick.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Is he a former promoter, or is he a wrestling journalist?
Muchnick is, I'm almost 100% sure, a former promoter. And he was a big-time promoter. Actually, I think it was Sam Muchnick that was the promoter.
Now I know who Sam Muchnick is. Sam Muchnick was the 8 million-year-old dude who was like, hi. in the middle of now I remember. I was like, why does Munchik just stick out to me?
Yeah. Chris Brown saying, and Maven was on Piers Morgan as well. Piers Morgan brings just about anybody on. I think his show's pretty interesting because like Piers is pretty good at calling out people for their BS and like letting people have a heated dispute without it getting absolutely ridiculous.
Vince Russo called Phil Mushnick bro 309 times, and it was a minute and 14 seconds long clip, and he called him bro that many times, and Phil Mushnick called him an idiot and was threatening to beat the shit out of Vince Russo. So it doesn't surprise me because Vince Russo just, I don't know what it is about Vince Russo. He finds a way to bring out the worst in people. Cornette, we all know that if Cornette had his way with Vince Russo, he would do 25 to life. And he'd do it with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Because Vince Russo would be long gone and never heard from or seen again.
Not only did Vince Russo say stupid things to get Rikishi to, like, you want me to, we're going to have problems next time I see you. Vince Russo came out and said, bro, you know what, bro? If they offered me, bro, a Hall of Bro and Fame induction, bro, I wouldn't accept it, bro.
You know, I wish I had seen that.
He thinks that they're going to try to induct him into the WWE Hall of Fame. He thinks that.
If I had seen that before I did my top 10 list this week, I can rest assured to you, I could come up with a top 10 list of reasons why Vince Russo will never, ever be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I will also guarantee you this, Vince Russo will never, ever be in the F and Marks Hall of Fame because Zarni has a better chance of getting into the F and Marks Hall of Fame than Vince Russo does. Because Zarni has a better chance of getting into the WWE Hall of Fame than Vince Russo does.
Judy Bagwell has a better chance of getting into the F and Marks Hall of Fame than Vince Russo.
If only the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match between Canyon and Buff Bagwell happened at Clash 13, she'd already be in it.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Full thing.
Lobsterhead. A careless man who
could wind up dead.
Too many limes. Too many limes. Sorry. But yeah, I thought it was funny because we talked about Russo and I was like, wait a minute, I just saw Russo. And like he's like a mosquito at a barbecue. You're sitting at the table, you're enjoying your pasta salad, you got a nice glob of potato salad in front of you, you take a bite out of your hamburger, and that freaking fat, annoying Brooklyn, Staten Island sounding piece of shit, bro. The mosquito just going, bro. No, you fucker. You bit me again, bro. That's what all he is. He's a mosquito at a barbecue. Doesn't matter how much mosquito repellent you put on, that piece of shit's going to still try to bite you. Bro.
Bro.
Yeah, he's going to go in the WWE Hall of Fame. He has as much of a shot in the WWE Hall of Fame as Chris Benoit. There, end of discussion.
Yep. Another thing that came out this week, coming in 2025, is we are going to get a behind-the-scenes documentary on Netflix showing off what happens in WWE. What say you about that, Brainless One?
I'm all for stuff like that. I love the behind-the-scenes stuff. I'll admit it right now. I've started the Vince McMahon 6-episode docuseries. I'm about 3 episodes in. I'm going to tell you right now, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with what I have to say about that once I get through it. Because it's not even what I thought I was going to say once I get through it, because that's all I'm going to leave it at. I love this type of stuff. I love this behind the scenes, doing all the creation stuff. I got a kick out of seeing some of the stuff, like when they showed the wrestlers behind the scene of like the build up towards WrestleMania, and you see them at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're doing like their practice runs for their matches. They're getting their entrances ready. You know, I still remember from years ago when the New Day hosted, I think it was WrestleMania 32 or 33, when the giant box of Bootios fell over and they came out of it and they showed the practice of that. I dig that shit. I love that stuff. I know it definitely piqued your interest because you're in, you know, productions and promotions, and you definitely are somebody who wants to see it because this speaks to you and I, because not only is it something that interests us, but it's a documentary. So boom, double. Give me wrestling and a documentary at the same time. I'm going to be all for it. What are your thoughts on it?
I just want it to feel like something different than what we've already seen. You know, we saw like when they shown like a day in the life of WrestleMania. Like I think a couple of years ago, they showed like the 24 hours before leading up to it. We've seen things like that. I want to see them not only do that, but show a different side than what's been shown. But yeah, I mean, I love seeing the behind the scenes stuff, no matter what. Even if they did something that was kind of similar to what they've already done, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty good. But I want them to take it to the next level, damn it. They no longer have Kevin Dunn ruining things like this. So I think that we could get a higher caliber production, and I think we could have just different ideas and different thoughts in them to make them better. So I have high hopes for something great, but I do really want to see, you know, maybe a little bit more of a creative meeting. I want to see maybe a couple of the conversations Triple H is having with performers, not just him giving them a hug after a match. Oh, that was great. Like, I want to see more of those things. I want it to be, it doesn't need to be as dark as this, but the night Bret Hart punched out Vince McMahon after the Montreal screw job. I want to see stuff like that, where like all sorts of crazy stuff's going on. You've got with that one, you had like hidden audio recorders and what have you, and you got video of Vince McMahon coming out after he got knocked out. But I want to see more in-depth stuff like that. Don't just give me this like it's behind the scenes, but it's surface level behind the scenes.
Right. I agree. So. And the best part is this is one of the first ones they've done since that freaking bucktooth beaver fuck left. So I'm excited for this because you know the quality is going to be so great. You're not going to have to sit there and they're like, here we are at wherever we are. And, you know, he's just doing freaking shaky cam. Yeah. Hey, look, we're walking into the building. Hey, look, there's a random fan right there. Let's get a shot of him. Well, so, I mean, he's not there to ruin it. So I'm that's another prospect of it. By the way, they do talk about the Montreal screw job in the Vince documentary.
Yeah.
I know. Everybody who hasn't seen it yet, they're shocked that they talked about it.
Right. So.
And it's great because you already know that because Hulk Hogan's a part of it, everything's a lie. Sorry.
How do you know it's a lie? His lips are moving.
Because it's Hulk
How entertaining is it?
Hey, just remember, everyone, I watched the last 4 or 5 minutes or whatever it was of Jesse Waters' show yesterday just to watch Hulk Hogan. By the way, Hulk Hogan's eyes during that interview, I didn't understand a word he said. I didn't even hear a single thing he said. His eyes were like this the whole time. He looked like Michael Hayes did during Clash 13 before he got in the match with the wide-eyed Southern boys. His eyes were just out of his head, and I don't even know what Hulk Hogan's saying. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned 93,173 at least once. He's definitely said some Hulk Hogan-ish things. I don't know. I haven't heard because he actually had his sunglasses off and his eyes were shooting out of his skull. So if people want to know why, the Brainless One will tune into just about anything that has Hulk Hogan on it. It's because he is, without question, and Cousin Jay can definitely confirm this, he is like the Jelly of the Month Club. He is the gift that keeps on giving all year round. I can't do my notes every single week until I actually search Hulk Hogan, because I need to know if he has done something or said something or has fabricated another stupid, ridiculous lie. I need to know these things, because this was once a man. Yep, this was once a man who used to tell me and every other wrestling fan out there to take your vitamins and say your prayers. And now he's coming out there and saying, I helped L. Ron Hubbard, get over Scientology, and I put him in a headlock, brother. And then I ran off the ropes and I hit L. Ron Hubbard with the big boot. And as all the aliens were cheering on L. Ron to make a comeback, I ran off the ropes, brother, and I dropped the biggest leg drop, brother. And that's how Hulk Hogan avoided Scientology, brother. What you gonna do? And just rip his shirt off.
The only time Hulk Hogan isn't lying is when he says, and I quote, "That's not going to work for me, brother."
There is one other time that Hulk Hogan was absolutely 100% truthful. And that was when he was in court and under oath, when he was telling a judge, all the witnesses, the jury, the bailiff, and every single person sitting in that courtroom with a straight face, and said, and I quote, Hulk Hogan has a bigger penis than Terry Bollea. What this has to do with anything with this, any kind of a court case, is beyond me. But the fact is that Hulk Hogan did, under oath, as truthful as he could be. I'm going to say as truthful as he can be because it's Hulk Hogan, so he can only be as truthful as he can be. Say that Hulk Hogan has a bigger penis size than Terry Bollea. Well, the only thing that even rivals that is when he tweeted out, "Help, brother, I need toilet paper."
That was also a truthful statement.
So, the truth statements from Hulk Hogan are few and far between. I'm a Hulk Hogan enjoyer at this point because of the fact that my childhood gets ruined every time that man opens his mouth and another lie just flies out. Brother.
And when I saved that bus's school kid from a car accident, and brother, there was a spark, and it was right next to the gasoline can. And let me tell you something. I took the 24-inch pythons and I put it out. And then I hand carried all of them on my back and did a backstroke out of there, brother.
Like I said, Hulk Hogan is the gift that keeps on giving all year round. That's the best.
No doubt about
it. That's literally one of the highlights of doing a wrestling podcast each and every week, is that Hulk Hogan is just free ammunition as often as he can. And do you remember the span of time for, it was like a 2-month span where it was either him or Ric Flair was saying something stupid or doing something stupid? That was a fun time. I hate the fact that it's the cold and it's the winter, and all we ever see Hulk Hogan do now is these political things, and Ric Flair, God only knows what the hell Ric Flair is.
And beer.
And beer. They're both in whatever they're doing. Nicholas,
Hogan in weed yet?
Huh?
I don't think Hogan got into weed yet, but I'm wondering if he will.
He probably will. There's money to be made, and Hulk Hogan needs money.
Right.
Nicholas Dickhead. Oh, Ric Flair, you're the other gift that keeps on giving all year round. I don't care. Our heroes from the 80s and 90s growing up as wrestling fans are now just making us laugh in 2024. It's the best thing.
Because it's sad.
I don't care how sad it is or not. It's still funny. Sad.
Anyway, that's all. That's all I got for my notes, Brainless One.
All right, I actually have a few more, not too terribly, but these are quick notes. Number one, WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump was on a podcast with the dancing dinosaur Tyrus, formerly known as Brodus Clay. Haven't seen it. Wasn't really planning on it. Fine. Also, it was announced that Donald Trump will be appearing on The Undertaker's Dead Man podcast. I thought that was interesting. Wasn't expecting to have Hulk Hogan, or not, yeah, Hulk Hogan, Donald Trump and The Undertaker on a podcast together. And then I saw a clip and saw the Kane as part of it. And they absolutely shit on Dave Bautista. So now I will be tuning into that interview. Absolutely. And that will also, that little thing with Trump being on that podcast is going to be talked about in a little bit later on in the podcast. But I thought it was interesting that he is going to be on with fellow Hall of Famers, Kane and The Undertaker, the Brothers of Destruction. I'm sure they're going to turn that and flip that in a way that people are just going to be like, that's not good. The Brothers of Destruction with Trump. No bueno. Another interesting note I found out, Hiroshi Tanahashi will be retiring from New Japan Pro Wrestling in January. I think it's January 4th of 2025. Pretty much a week after John Cena's retirement from WWE.
Well, the beginning of the Cena retirement tour. John Cena is wrestling throughout all of 2025.
Or maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's 2026. Maybe he's retiring.
Maybe.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong in the date because I think they were saying that they're going to retire. Like, I think they said that Tanahashi's retiring a week after John Cena is. So
yeah, Cena is wrestling almost all year next year. He's wrestling like 30 to 40 dates, or he's going to be at least on TV 30 to 40 dates.
Now, if that's the case, if we got Tanahashi and Cena retiring a week apart, because I'm 99.999% sure that that's what it is, and I got my years mixed up. That Tanahashi retires a week after Cena. Do you think it's out of the realm of possibility we see a Tanahashi versus John Cena match? Fantasy booking.
Probably just because New Japan still has a relationship with AEW. That would, I think, be a bridge too far. New Japan would probably just say we can't do this because of. Yes.
It'd be cool. I'd like to see something like a Tanahashi versus John Cena match, just because they're two absolute legends in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it'd be great to see. Unfortunately, the politics right now probably would, pro wrestling would not allow that.
Yeah. Sad. Another thing that I've been waiting a long time to say when I was a fan of AEW. Take a shit as champion.
Yeah.
He won whatever ridiculously stupid below mid-card title that Will Ospreay had, where he won it in a triple threat match against the Ricochet and Will Ospreay, where Kyle Fletcher attacked Will Ospreay with a wrench or a screwdriver or whatever it was that Don Callis sent to him. Take a shit is all Atlantic or all international, whatever the hell the freaking title is. I don't know. There's too many titles to keep track of.
Well, it'll be called the All Japan title or something.
Well, I'm sure it will be. Or it's going to be the Callis family title or whatever. But I'm happy for Take a Shit. I like to see the fact that he's won a championship in AEW.
Yeah.
So I had to mention that.
No, he's I respect the heck out of him. He the dude has had quite the career, and just was he the one who went against Kenny Omega like during one of the first COVID era AEW matches? But I think they did.
They did.
And I remember he did like 5 Meteoras, but like we didn't realize, like I'm like, I understand that that's his ending move, but like the audience didn't.
Yeah.
And like, so the near falls coming from the Meteora, and then it's like, oh, and it makes the Meteora look crappy.
Yeah.
So, but I remember after that, I'm like, you know what? Dude's a little bit older here, but like, he could go. He can go, and he wrestled he wrestles in Japan strong style, and anybody who does that for an extended period of time, my hat's off to you. I don't know how the Great Muta had a career as long as he did, wrestling the style that he did for all those years. Good on him. And he could still go pretty well up until the end. So, good for Take a Shit getting the title.
Takeshita! To be the right way. Yes, it's Take a Shit. I'm sorry. I see his name.
Takeshita.
Yeah. I can't see it as anything other than Take a Shit. and lastly, my last note before I get into my top 10 list. What did I say last week when I said I came across a video where I saw QT Marshall get into it with the stupid Costco guy?
You said quite a few things.
I not mention it's only going to be a matter of time before we see Costco guy versus QT Marshall in an AEW sanctioned ring.
You did say that.
And what happened this week?
I honestly don't know. You tell me.
The Costco guy and QT Marshall are now scheduled to fight each other at the Full Gear pay-per-view.
Will it be a Costco rules match?
I have no idea what kind of rules it's going to be yet. I have no idea if it's going to be a $1.50 hot dog and a soda on a pole match. I have no idea if it's going to be a pallet of dog food on a forklift match. I have no idea if it's a Costco membership.
I want to have a moment where Costco guy dumps one of those 50-gallon drums of mayonnaise on top of QT Marshall.
It's going to be awful.
I want this match to take place in Costco.
I don't want this match to take place, period. Because
I want it to take place, and I want it to happen in Costco. I want QT Marshall, WWE superstar, to lose, and lose badly.
Who in AEW is watching this podcast? I need to know. Is it Will Washington, the former Fightful writer who now, strokes Tony Khan's ego? Is it Tony Khan's drug dealer? Is it Tony Schiavone? Is it Jim Ross? The Brainless One needs to know this, okay? Because it's one thing for us to talk about Bryan Danielson retiring as soon as humanly possible, like we did last week, and then he retires immediately right after, a day later, literally.
Literally.
But then a week later, not even a week later, we find out that QT Marshall's fighting the fucking Costco guy after I said that's what I don't want to see. Who is it? Tell me who you are. Who is it? Chris Brown, are you a double agent? Are you tuning into this podcast, but you're feeding the cokehead some stuff? Is it Jessica? Jessica, are you giving our stuff for the podcast to Tony Khan? Is that what it is? For free tickets that nobody really wants to the shows? Is it Tony Brown? I bet you it's Tony Brown Snow. Yes, that's what it is. He's sending clips of our podcast to the Buckaroos and saying, this guy fucking hates you, so you know what you should do? Do everything he says he doesn't want you to do. Nobody wants to see the Costco. He doesn't want to see the Costco guy fight QT Marshall.
Mm.
The man of 4 names in WWE when none of them he was victorious with. I just need to know who is the spy, who is the rat, who is the one that is feeding all of the stuff in this podcast to, it's Timmy, isn't it? It's Timmy because he's a Yankees fan. And it's because I'm a Giants fan, he's a Redskins fan.
I think I know. I've got the culprit.
Sheba, I knew it. Sheba, I knew it. Even when I thought it was Chris Brown, I knew it was you, Sheba. You can't tell. Oh, see, you can't even look me in the eye, Sheba.
Nope.
But yeah. freaking Costco guy versus QT Marshall's happening at a fucking pay-per-view.
I guess it's better than Nia Jax versus anybody.
We went from having Mr. T and Lawrence Taylor, two very decorated stars in their professions, participating in wrestling pay-per-views, to the fucking Costco guy. I digress.
Okay. Chris Brown in the chat did say he is going to a Comic-Con coming up soon, and he is going to see Trish. He's going to get Stratisfied.
Okay. Very cool.
And also, he's going to see your hero, not Chris' hero, but he is going to see RVD.
The whole effing show?
The whole effing show.
Mr. Monday Night?
Mr. Monday Night.
The only wrestler I actually have my picture taken with?
Yes.
One of the absolute coolest human beings I've ever met, and I wish I had smoked with him.
It's on your shirt.
The whole effing show, baby. That's awesome.
It's on the shirt you're wearing, man.
This guy right here. Hold on.
The other
my
side.
depth perception on this thing. Yes,
yeah,
guy
that was a picture of me with Chuck Norris shirt on.
It's still a legendary picture, by the way.
Yeah.
The whole effing show, baby. Wait, hold on. I got to do it right. Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
Two Robs meeting each other, which was a great moment for me.
Yeah.
But I do have my top 10 list this week.
Yeah.
Really wish that I had known that with Vince Russo because I would have made it. So next week, my top 10 will be top 10 reasons Russo is not in WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, do I have to stop at 10? Can I go to like 300?
You can if you can make it as long as you want.
I don't think anybody wants to hear that. I thought a little outside the box this week.
Oh, because all right.
PWI did their top 10 or top 250 women in the world, and I saw the top 10 list. So I decided that for this week, I am going to do the top 10, bottom 10 women in professional wrestling in 2024. I dare you to guess wrong who number one is. And I can assure you, without a shadow of a doubt, it is not Kenny Omega wearing a wig. Anyway, the top 10, bottom 10 women in professional wrestling 2024, according to the Brainless One. Number 10, Pajamas Girl.
What?
Pajama Girl. The girl who wrestles
Pajama Girl.
Wendy Chu. She's the girl who wrestles in pajamas. That's all she is to me. She is Pajamas Girl. Come on. This was the one who was Sun Lee or whatever the hell it was, the evil woman that was in charge of when it was Xia Li and Boa Constrictor when they were in the stable, and she was that nasty woman. And I'm like, oh, they're going to repackage her, and she came out wearing pajamas. You can't get – that's worse than Jeff Bridges going from the dude to Warmonger. Or Ironmonger.
Or how about being Brodus Clay to being a dancing dinosaur?
You went from being Snoop Dogg's bodyguard to a dancing Dino Man.
Wait. There's only one Dino Man.
No, there's a Dino Man and there's a dancing Dino Man. We've established this.
And Dino Man's career might be over. Very sad.
That's unfortunate.
Didn't get the payoff for the Christian Cage storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Proceed.
Number 9, I'm going with Mama Wayne because I've never seen anybody more useless in all of wrestling. I would say that, but AEW exists. So there's a lot of useless people getting paid a lot of money for TV time that they don't deserve. I'll get to that point in this list because I'm sure there's a bunch of them on this list. Number 8, Ash by Elegance. Now, when I do these lists, I take everything into consideration. It's not even just the fact that you're a shitty wrestler like number 1. It doesn't matter if you're a ratings killer like somebody else on this list. or the fact that you absolutely eviscerate the English language when you cut a promo. I take everything into consideration. So when you are now making a name for yourself in a wrestling promotion outside of the promotion you used to work at, and you return during this partnership that you have now with these two wrestling promotions, and the crowd goes mild when you come out. Ash by Elegance, you are now number 8 on my list. Number 7, I don't care that this woman has not wrestled a single match in professional wrestling in 2024. Eva Marie is number 7. Just because I wanted to put her on this fucking list, and I can, okay? Anytime, as long as she captures a breath in her lung, she is always eligible for the shittiest wrestler in any category, male or female.
All right.
But the fact is she's 7th. Number 6, Indy Hartwell. She's just awful. I'm sorry. Number 5. You don't know me. You don't know me. Nobody knows me. You don't know me. You don't know me. Marina Shafir, I wish I didn't know you, but because I do and know that what you are capable of, you are number 5 on my list.
Hey, she's part of the 4 Horse Women, right?
She is. Her, the Ironing Board, Jessamine Duke, the Goat, Shayna Baszler, and the only one of the only other. Actually, no, there's only 2 women in wrestling I never want to see back in WWE ever again. She's the other one, Ronda Rousey. More like Ronda Lousy, am I right?
Am I right?
Right.
Right.
Unfortunately, she hasn't wrestled since 2023. So Ronda Rousey. Oh wait, no, she did wrestle.
Wait. You put Eva Marie on the list. If you wanted to put Ronda on it, you could. But I thought she did like a Ring of Honor match or something along that line.
She did.
So,
but my vitriol for Eva Marie has been lasting a hell of a lot longer than my vitriol towards Ronda Rousey.
All right. Fair.
Okay. Thank you. If I could give a reasonable explanation, I'm going to give said reasonable explanation. Number 4, there is a tie for 4th with Nick and Matt Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm not even adding anything else to that. I had to put those fucking clowns on here. I can only imagine. I bet you know where my top 3 is going, because they're the 3 names that you are probably not too terribly surprised have not emerged from my mouth yet. But just to make sure that I live the gimmick and I make this worthwhile. Number 3, Cousin Jay. Are you surprised that the Rack Back is my 3rd worst wrestler in the women's division in 2024?
No, it is much. It is. We have not seen her very much in 2024.
She made it immediately.
Made an interesting return. And poor woman has certainly been dealing with some stuff within her body, but that does not mean her
mobility.
It doesn't mean that you should be that bad at wrestling.
To the point where she kicked Rhea Ripley on Monday and her head bounced off of Tiffany Stratton's shoe and almost killed her. She fucked the finish and then she fucked everything else up. Who's number 2, Cousin Jay? If you had to take a guess. I know I asked for number 1 typically, but if you had to take a guess, if I take everything into consideration, who's the 2nd worst woman in wrestling in 2024?
See, it's got to be Mercedes, because I know that Nia Jax is the worst. It's got to be Mercedes.
Mercedes Moné is numero dos, because she is numero dos. There's 3 entities in AEW that are guaranteed to drive away ratings. The duo that tied for 4th, the guy who's calling himself a learning tree, who will do anything for a stupid stable of anybody just so he can feel important, and it's Tony Khan's $15 million Mercedes that drives away the ratings. Not her wrestling ability. It seems like every time she has a microphone, she scares more and more people. than she does when she's in the ring, although she scares away everyone because nobody wants to see it.
Yeah.
But Mercedes is number 2 because I take everything into consideration. Well, Cousin Jay, if that was 2 through 10, would you happen to venture a guess of who you think number 1 is?
Oh, it's got to be Nia Jax.
I'm not a monster. Well, that's what I thought her song used to be because she is a monster.
Right.
She is, without question, as Jean-Raphael Saperstein once said about his twin sister Mona Lisa, Nia Jax is, was, and will forever be the worst women's wrestler in the history of professional wrestling. And she's probably going to win a Marquee Award, getting close to the numbers that her cousin has been getting for wettest hair when she takes home the shittiest fucking human being wrestler in the history of mankind award.
Yeah.
That is my top 10 list for this week.
All right.
And you know me, anytime I get a chance to shit on Nia Jax, it's always a good thing.
Yes.
And I got to do Eva Marie.
Yeah. And Mercedes.
And the Brat Pack. This is a great top 10 list. And now I can't wait for next week's when I have to come up with 10 reasons why Vince Russo is not going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And we all know that number 1 is going to be he exists.
Yes.
But that's all I got for notes. That's what I got for my top 10. It looks like it's time for our good.
Our bad.
Wow, I did not spill any water. I almost gave myself my brainless right there because I almost spilled water on a cordless charger. And a brainless.
Yeah.
All right, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good this week?
I have to go with Bryan Danielson retiring. The man did the right thing. Not that I don't want to see him, wrestling or like, it's not that I wanted him to go away, but common sense says, dude, you need to go away.
Health is more important than a career.
Absolutely. So, good for Bryan Danielson. Good for him to finish off his career in an order more of what he would want, as opposed to the first time when his career looked like it was over. He got an extra 7-ish years. So good for him. Great career. And good luck to him on the next phase.
It's a good one.
What about you, Brainless One?
For the record, I originally had Take a Shit winning a title in AEW as my good for this week. But then I started doing the women's top 10, bottom 10, Nia Jax is a piece of shit list. And there was one omission on my list that I was very happy that I did. And I said, not only am I glad that this person is not on my bottom 10 wrestlers list, I'm going to give her the accolades because of where she was to where she is now. And that's Maxine Dupree. I'm thinking outside the box here. I have noticed that the last few times that they have had her in the ring and she's been getting actually wrestling, she's so much better. It wasn't that long ago where people were making fun of her because saying that she sucked and everything on their way back to the ring and all the women came to her defense, which I was happy for. But the fact is she took that negative criticism, she spun it, used it to her advantage to motivate her, and she went and got better in the ring. Something that Nia Jax can even say. So I actually applaud Maxine Dupree for putting forth the time and effort to learn the craft better so that she is not an embarrassment to the professional wrestling industry. So Maxine Dupree, for your effort into becoming a better in-ring performer, I am giving you my good for this week.
All right.
What do you got for your bad?
In general, in creative realms, there are a lot of copycats out there. And the copycats generally are not as good as the original. Ash by Elegance. That Walmart brand, Timeless Tony Storm, right? Lance Archer, who was once a highly touted free agent signing from AEW. They tried everything they could think of for that man. They gave him Jake the Snake Roberts as a mouthpiece. They tried all sorts of stuff. He is now Temu brand Drew McIntyre. It's like they're not even trying to hide the fact that he's trying to look like Drew McIntyre.
That's who that was?
Yes.
I saw the picture. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Where did
Lance Archer. Like that is how desperate somebody is to try to like. It's like, how do you stand out when you're copying somebody? Like, it looks terrible. Like, when you see a cheap knockoff, you're like, yeah, it says Romex. It says Romex. Yeah, I can tell it's different. And it, like, it's off the rails. Come up with your own stuff.
Because of this, now that I know that I was Lance Archer, which makes this a million times worse than I thought it was, because I just thought it was some bum fuck that they got from freaking, the independent scene, that they're like, here's your 15 minutes of fame, just like Luigi Primo, and you don't need to spin a pizza around like an asshole.
Or Blue Undertaker. Or Blue Kane.
Blue Kane, or Dan the Dead, or the Man Scout, or any of these people. I did not know that was Lance Archer. Now, because I know this, I need for Karrion Kross to shave his head and trim the beard and come back looking like the psychopath he used to look like when he was in NXT. The last time he was an intimidating force.
Right.
Although I close my eyes and he sounds just like Jesse Ventura. I'll give him that. And I appreciate him that. And the only reason I say that is because those were the two big free agents that were available at the same time. And one went to WWE and the other one went to AEW. And both free agent signings were duds. So, but yeah, I can understand that. And it actually goes hand in hand now with my bad, because I'm giving it to AEW. I know you're surprised that with my bad, I'm giving it to AEW. Because the whole thing about, they did all this stuff to drag Daniel Bryanson out for all this thing. They had one person win a match. The booking. It's the booking. The booking they did to get to the point where they took the title from Daniel Bryanson is the reason why I had it for my bad. And now that I see freaking Timu Lance Archer dressing up like freaking Drew McIntyre, like he's going out trick-or-treating with his kids, that just makes it worse. And on top of the fact that they got the stupid fucking Costco guy fighting QT Marshall. At what point, Jay? Seriously, at what point does Tony Khan just call me and said, you know what? You need to be the booker for this company because it appears you're just as fucking retardedly brainless as I am. That's what it needs. And I don't need Coke to do this. No. Just give me a whole bunch of weed. It ain't going to be any worse than what Tony Khan does, that freaking nose candy fuck. AEW makes it just like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. They are the gift that keeps on giving each and every month. They are always a guaranteed contender for bad and brainless every single week, and they have yet to prove me wrong. So they get my bad for this week, but not my brainless.
All right.
But what do you have for your brainless?
Vince Russo. You want to talk about a no-brainer? A man who's like, bro, if they tried to induct me into the Hall of Fame, bro, I wouldn't accept it, bro. Hey, bro, guess what?
You're not going in the WWE Hall of Fame.
They don't want you in. They don't want you. And there are people far more deserving than you. You like, one of the things, like, I know they let in some people that, like, weren't with the company. He was not in WWE very long. And then he went and was part of the reason, a little bit, the WCW went away. Then he spent a long time in TNA, and he was so good, in fact, that Dixie Carter had to hide from people that he was helping with creative. No, Vince Russo, you will not be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
No. You and Chris Benoit will have about the same amount of shot of being in the WWE Hall of Fame.
But him coming out with that, I mean, he also didn't help himself a couple weeks ago when he made fun of Jey Uso for reacting to his first singles title victory. So Vince Russo, you get my Brainless this week.
Cousin Jay, I can't believe you actually had the actual right person that should have won my Brainless for this week, because if I had known then when I was doing my list, because I literally saw it 2 minutes, like I was literally opening up Facebook and I saw it and I went, you got to be fucking kidding me. And I'm like, I could just sit here and rewrite it. And I've done it before where I've rewritten my notes. And I would have definitely given it to Vince Russo for that. However, this week I have no problem sticking with my Brainless unless I had actually knocked over my water and just electrocuted the entire house and cut off the power in my neighborhood just because I was extending my arm and knocked it over. I didn't punch a wall, which is always good. Been notorious for doing that. But, wait. I'm going to tell you this one. I am giving it to wrestling fans.
Okay.
You're surprised. I know it. I know you're surprised because I've never given wrestling fans in general my Brainless for this week. So it came out on Twitter yesterday that The Undertaker, who hosts a podcast, will be having Donald J. Trump, the 45th and possibly the 47th president of the United States, on his podcast coming up in the foreseeable future. Not knowing that the big red machine, Kane, was also going to be on there, that just made it that much more of an obtainable thing for me to watch. However, there are wrestling fans that were all over Twitter that were quote tweeting this saying, The Undertaker is dead to me. The Undertaker is a horrible human being. I am no longer a fan of The Undertaker. These are all just different tweets. This isn't all just like in one tweet. There was dozens of wrestling fans that are going to cancel The Undertaker because he has the Republican presidential candidate on his podcast, which does have to do with wrestling. And oh, by the way, Donald Trump played a pivotal role in the success of WWE and WrestleMania because he hosted multiple WrestleManias in that card, was a huge fan, took part in the Battle of the Billionaires. So Donald Trump, at the end of the day, should be on this podcast, on The Undertaker's podcast. I'd love for him on this podcast too, am I kidding? But the fact that there is wrestling fans out there that are going to cancel The Undertaker, one of the most legendary characters, a man who's probably in about 80 or 90% of people's Rushmores because he is the greatest gimmick in the history of wrestling outside of a monsoon of gorillas. And they're now going to cancel this man that they grew up idolizing and buying the merchandise for because he's going to have Donald Trump on his show. And to me, that's stupid. Not as stupid as the fact that politics got dragged into professional wrestling in the first place, but because of the fact that people are going to go after The Undertaker because of political beliefs. I'm still going to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, even though Dave Bautista came out and did the shit he did yesterday. I still tune in and watch Analyze This, and I watch the one with Ben Stiller. Robert De Niro hasn't come up with it.
Yeah, Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents. Still love that stuff. I don't watch anything that De Niro does now, not because of his political beliefs. It's because he hasn't come out with a good movie since Meet the Fockers.
I thought he was pretty good in Joker, the original one, like 5 years ago.
The best part about that movie is when he got shot in the face. Sorry. But anyway, wrestling fans turning on The Undertaker for political reasons, I am sorry. That is just absolutely brainless to me, and you get my Brainless for this week.
All right.
So, If you like what you've seen, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on the Twitter, follow us on the Instagram, and subscribe to us on the YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKSDFN Marks. Says it on my shirt. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra. And make sure you set up notifications so that when we are live, you will be notified that we are live. So you can join in the conversation, so you can talk about our favorite sport that we all love to hate.
Professional wrestling.
New York Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that is it. That is
covered
it.
all the bases.
We did
our top 10 list. We did our good, bad, and brainless. And I think there's... Wait. Hello, Curtis Axel. Hello, Brainless One. It is always good to see you, Curtis Axel. I just want you to know that, right? Yes. And I want you to know, and I want everybody out there to know, that the Brainless One was trained to take that other FM Marks Hall of Famer and bringing him on the show when we all know this is Curtis Axel's podcast. We know Curtis Axel because you have something very important you need to tell us, don't you? It is, Brainless One. Did you know that today, October 18th of 2024, at an astonishing 3,554 days, I, FM Marks Hall of Famer, still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. A man who may or may not eventually end up in the FM Marks Hall of Fame. Clearly, he's got a better chance than Vince Russo does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, for episode 377 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the FM Marks.
I'm Jay. He is.
I am the Brainless One. And you make sure that you mark out
with the guac out. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah?
Yeah.